The Bahamas is one of the world's most pristine tourist destinations. In 2024, it experienced record growth, welcoming 11.2 million international visitors. Luxury resorts are being developed all around the islands. Chester Cooper is the Deputy Prime Minister of the Bahamas and also the Minister of Tourism and Aviation. He has said in the past that tourism growth must be developed in a sustainable way. I wanted to know what exactly that means for a country like the Bahamas. Well, he joins me now to discuss how to do this and how things are going there. You're listening to GreenShift, a climate podcast about travel and tourism from Skift with me, Darin Graham.
Firstly, it might be helpful to establish that the Bahamas is 50 miles off the coast of Miami, Florida. Very close proximity. It spans 100,000 square miles. There are 700 islands and another 2,300 rocks and keys. So it's an expansive archipelago. And from this archipelago, we have identified 16 of these islands that we focus on as main population centers and as main touristic destinations. So firstly, within the Bahamas, we have 16 destinations. Not many touristic centers, certainly in the Caribbean region, can boast of this. It comes with its challenges, but it has significant opportunities because each has a unique potential. So in the Bahamas, we attract this last year 11.2 million guests. 75% of them come by cruise, the remainder by air, and some by smaller boats and yachts. But they come for the natural charm of the islands of the Bahamas, the sheer beauty of the islands, the water and the sun, and the sun. So fundamentally, that's a natural attribute that we have been able to leverage over the last 50 years of being in this business. What we've done, though, is we've created nice niches like sports tourism, where we attract the international relays, IWAF, for example, and we put on myriad of other sporting events, including Bahama Hoops, for example, and Battle at Atlantis, which is basketball, college basketball. We have professional golfing and myriad others. And then we focus on what we call the verticals: diving, fishing, boating, yachting. We attract a lot of corporate business for groups, conventions, conferences, meetings, etc. And what we are doing really is leveraging the natural attributes, the close proximity to the U.S., the expansive airlift possibility, the significant infrastructure throughout the Bahamas for marinas, docks, airports, etc. So we have a fairly mature tourism product. We continue to build and grow it. We have $12 billion of new foreign direct investments. Much of it is going to become an investment in the tourism space. We have most of the big brands, the high-end premium luxury brands like Rosewood, Bulgari, Hyatt, Park Hyatt, SLS. Of course, Atlantis is an international world-class brand. We're getting new brands as well, like Montage and Six Senses and others. But what the Bahamas really treasures, it's small boutique hotels where people can come and relax. They can be in small environments. They can go fly fishing. They can explore the environment. They can do ecotourism, whatever suits their fancies in the small community, with community-based tourism, etc. I think that's one of the real magnificent benefits of the islands of the Bahamas, because you can go into a small community, you can get to know the locals, you can go to the local restaurant, or the mom and pop shop. You can talk to the locals. One of the things we really like is our people-to-people program, where people can come and go into a home of a local, visit a local church or whatever suits their fancy. But bottom line is, our mission is to show the world who we are, to show our heart, to show our culture, our heritage, and the warmth of our people. One of the things that we get very often is that Bahamians are warm, friendly people who are very welcoming and embracing. And in a world of geopolitical turmoil, I believe that's an attribute that's welcomed by.
So you often note that the growth in tourism must be managed sustainably. And I'm sure that many of the things you just laid out comes into this question. But what do you mean by that? And what do you think are some of the key things that actually work in making tourism more sustainable in the Bahamas?
So we have a population of 400,000 people. We attract 30 times more in tourists than our population, roughly. And therefore, we must always manage the growth. For the very way of life of the Bahamas and the people of the Bahamas, we have enjoyed pristine environments. We've enjoyed seafood from our neighborhoods. For example, we have enjoyed clean beaches with little debris. We have an infrastructure, whilst built for tourism, in many cases has the population size of 400,000 that's funding that. So when we talk about sustainable development and sustainable growth, we're talking about environmental protection, we're talking about orderly development, and we're talking really about master planning what we want our economy and our society to look like. We do not want to get in a scenario where we have a case of over-tourism. And what we're therefore doing is designing many of our islands that will not encourage cruise visitors, but be very focused on stopover arrivals, for example, where the infrastructure is only capable of handling so many tourists, for example. So let me tell you that Nassau Paradise Island is our traditional destination where you can come for casinos and nightlife and restaurants. And this is the main population center of our country. But we have Rumkey, Meguana, and Agua, smaller islands, where you can go to enjoy fly fishing or game fishing, or do nothing at all on pristine beaches where you may not see anyone. What we want to be able to do is to protect, from an environmental perspective, the air, the oceans, the overall environs of our country, to ensure that people continue to want to come, to protect the coral reefs, for example, so that we continue to have a lively marine life, protect the mangroves as we've done and continue to do to ensure there's mitigation against climate changes, there's protection against hurricanes and surges and floods, etc. But bottom line is we're looking to the future to build an industry that our children, our grandchildren can enjoy. I mentioned earlier we've been doing this for 50 years. And as the Minister of Tourism, I stand on the shoulders of persons who would have put in place strategies over the years to ensure sustainability. But we also now have Prime Minister Davis, current Prime Minister, who is an advocate in the early stage for climate change mitigation. We have started programs that focuses heavily on protection of seagrass, coral reef, mangroves, as I mentioned, because we believe that this is essential to the future growth of our country and, of course, the sustainable development of the world. It's not just about the economics of it. It's the right thing to do. And this is why we are very focused on ensuring the protection of great attributes that's been given to us.
And Deputy Prime Minister, for tourism to work in the Bahamas, I get, like you mentioned, cruise ships and aviation is a very big part of getting people there. But aviation and cruise ships are also a big part of tourism's contribution to greenhouse gases and affecting the very thing that people go to the Bahamas to see, pristine environments. What do you think? And it's a very complicated and very steep challenge to decarbonize those two sectors. How do you think about this, and what do you think is going to work to make these travel options greener?
Just for the Bahamas, we point out that we are not the world's significant producers of carbon and greenhouse gases, etc. That we are actually negative producers, if you will. And we are maintaining our carbon sinks like seagrass, for example, that absorbs carbon. Our air is rated as some of the cleanest anywhere in the world. Our Prime Minister has been talking a lot about producing carbon credits, blue carbon credits, for example. We prefer, though, the reduction of carbon, the absorption of carbon, the production of less carbon is what I wanted to say. And therefore, it is the industrial countries that must step up to the plate and ensure that they are doing more. We believe in development. We are business friendly. We believe in orderly development. We want to develop our islands. We will continue to do so in order to do it in an orderly way where we advance business and tourism and industry. We are putting in place a mechanism for regulating development. We have codes as to what needs to be done and how it is to be done. No business in Bahamas can operate unless they have environmental clearance, which is given at the end of a rigorous examination of the plan, as well as the environmental management protocols that the developer will carry out. And we want to continue to ensure that we monitor on an ongoing basis that the developer is doing what they say they would do and not doing anything that harms our overall environment. So yes, the growth must happen to consistently improve the quality and way of life of our people. But we are blessed to have a very large spans of ocean. We're a big ocean state, we like to say. We're a small country, but with 100,000 square miles, we go to great lengths to manage marine life and conserve the overall environment for the future.
So if you were a travel business and you wanted to open up something in the Bahamas, there are some quite strict environmental procedures to follow and monitoring. What else do you think executives from the travel sector should know about opening and doing business in tourism in the Bahamas?
Well, it's easy to do business. We are open for business. We welcome foreign direct investments in the Bahamas. We've attracted more than 12 billion over the last 3 years. We have a very streamlined process for applications, and we are conscious of sustainability for the future. We not only talk about sustainability in the sense of preserving the environment, but we create programs where people can come in and participate, like restoration of coral, protection of mangroves, carbon credits, blue carbon credits linked to seagrass, etc. As a result of these efforts, we also have these elements as things that people can do and see, and tourists and travelers can participate in planting mangroves or planting corals, etc. So we are a very open economy. We're welcoming to new business opportunities, but we want to do it the right way. And if we do it the right way, we will be able to do it for decades and generations to come. So I think that is the message, that if you are prepared to do quality business in a sustainable, environmentally friendly way, we welcome you. And if you plan not to conform, there's no place there for you. We understand the importance of the contribution that we make to the future of the Bahamas and the world, the Caribbean.
And I've been looking at some of the tourism assets around in the country. There are a lot of resorts and hotels and lovely looking assets that are operating using renewable energy. And there are many initiatives, many you've spoken about, like mangrove restoration and coral protection and rainwater collection. How does the government help ensure businesses have access to renewable energy contracts, solar panels, greener waste practices, and financial incentives for businesses wanting to move to cleaner, low carbon ways of operating? And what can businesses do from their perspective to move more away from fossil fuels?
Now, firstly, we are leading by example. The government has in its mandate and its policies that we want to have 30% of renewables on our grid by 2030. The National Electricity Corporation is moving in this direction as well, in terms of using cleaner fuels, in terms of adding grids that will be able to have reverse metering, encouraging residents to use solar, sell back to the grid. We have at the moment signed multiple contracts across the islands of the Bahamas for solar farms that's going to sell power directly to the grid. Any investor who is providing a heavy component of renewable energy will get favorable attention from the government. We have some resorts that are 100% solar powered. We have a small resort on Elizabeth Island in Exuma that's really focused on renewable energy alone. Have the generators as backups. We are blessed with 365 days a year of sunshine, and
Lucky.
and therefore we
Not in
must,
London.
we must use that resource to be able to benefit the people, the economy of the country. So I think in that regard, we are advancing. We have made significant progress over the last 3-5 years in this space. We continue to press forward in this regard with the new construction of renewable energy plants, etc., across the country.
So, for instance, if you were developing a resort and you wanted to install solar panels on the roof, of the resorts. Is that a relatively straightforward, and is that something that would be welcomed? Because I know in some countries, if there's a national operator, they sort of want the energy to go through the grid and then come back to the resort through the national grid, and it can be quite complicated.
No, we welcome resorts or residents who want to produce their own energy using their own solar panels, etc. It's really the reduction of the overall import usage of fossil fuels. We do not have oil in the Bahamas, so every method that we can use not to have to worry about that import, for example, helps the overall fiscal environment of the country, as well as it's helps to build capacity to provide power to the residents, and therefore this is welcomed, and indeed it is the right thing to do. It is the sensible thing to do, given the existence of this natural 365 days a year sunshine. So it's sensible. It's the right thing to do. It makes good economic sense. It reduces the outflow of what we call our foreign reserves. It reduces the import of oil, and it helps to protect our environment. And therefore, we want it to be done in an orderly way. I think there is a filing that would need to be made with the power company, but there is no significant hurdles or impediments to do so.
And you've spoken about some of the tough environmental checks and things with resorts. So allegedly there is a rosewood resort that's being developed that might result in the destruction of seagrasses in Exuma. Do you, and I think it's still going through planning and everything. Seagrasses are obviously a vital carbon sink and very important for marine life. How do you think tricky economic decisions for a big resort that's going to bring in lots of jobs but could cause a bit of harm to the environment should be managed and handled?
Well, firstly, the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection is the government agency that manages the environmental elements of developments. Secondly, as I mentioned before, there has to be an environmental impact assessment, and there has to be an environmental management plan. So the assessment is made as to what the environmental challenges are in the vicinity, and if it can be managed, then it is managed appropriately. And that comes through the environmental management plan. As the policymaker for the government, what we ensure is that this agency has the technical capacity and might to be able to manage this process, to help to determine what is in the environmental interest of the Bahamas, and to ensure that appropriate protocols are in place. Sometimes there are investors who may not want there to be another investor in their neighborhood. Sometimes in my neighborhood, I have persons who want to paint their houses colors that I may not like. But if that house complies with the code of the Bahamas, then irrespective of how much I may not like it, life goes on because the code is being complied with. So without addressing any specific development, I would say that I have great confidence in the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection to do what they are authorized to do, to not allow any degradation of the environment, to ensure that there is monitoring, to ensure that plans are being followed closely, and to ensure that the future of the Bahamas is being protected. We want sensible, sustainable development, and we want developers as an open economy for investment. And we approve developments that we believe can coexist. And if in our professional views, as articulated by the departments responsible for doing so, they can coexist and environmental concerns can be managed, then they are approved. If we believe that the environmental concerns cannot be managed, then they are not approved. So it is as simple as that. If you are building an airport on the coastline, for example, it might involve removal of some mangroves, for example. But that plan might require that you replace those mangroves, that you reposition them, or you plant twice as many as you destroy. So that's only an example of what environmental management is all about. And I am confident that irrespective of concerns expressed by this developer that you talked about, that Department of Environmental Planning and Protection will do the right thing, and we will have an outcome that's to the benefit of the Bahamian people, not the benefit of a self-interest, not the benefit only of a developer, but the development that benefits the overall mandate and mission of the Commonwealth of Bahamas.
Yeah. And in terms of, there'll be many people listening to this from many other parts of the world that are interested in sustainable growth of tourism. And it sounds to me like in the Bahamas, what works really well, I think, is that you've got 16 key centers of tourism, and everything seems to be, while you're very open to new business and development in the right way, at the same time, everything's monitored and the community is put first and things like this. It just sounds like the system that you have is working. What do you think what do you think works best, and what do you think others should note and could learn from the way things are being done in your country?
Well, firstly, we have a broad consultative process in the development of anything in our country. So everyone has an opportunity to say, hey, not in my backyard. Everyone has an opportunity to say, if you do this, my experience tells me that X will happen. And therefore we don't only rely on the engineering experts and environmental experts. We rely on the natural, authentic experts. If I've been living in this community for the last 60 years, I understand where the flooding will occur if I have 10 inches of rain, for example. So we rely on local expertise, and I think that there's something to be learned from listening to the people who know and who would have an interest in protecting their immediate areas. So consultation works extremely well. And of course, having the requisite engineering, professional, environmental consultants and control in place. Overall, though, I think we have a beautiful country that we have been able to develop in an orderly, sustainable way. We have big population centers and we have small ones. We have destinations like Nassau, Grand Bahama, where we encourage cruise ports. And we have some like Exuma and Rumkeys and Salvador and others where we do not want cruise ports. And therefore, I think the strategic planning for the future is critical. And this is why we've been successful in attracting myriad of guests, people who come to Nassau Paradise Island for parties, or casinos, or nightlife, or restaurants, and people who come to Andros for catch and release of bonefish and fly fishing, or go to San Salvador for game fishing, or go to Exuma for sailing and regattas, or to Inagua to watch flamingos, or to really observe the wildlife of wild boars and birds, and Abaco to experience the parrots. So I think we have God-given benefit of having the 100,000 square miles that I described. And there's so much to see above water and below water to give us the type of range. Some of the greatest barrier reefs anywhere in the world, for example, where you can come and observe the sharks or swim with the sharks, or turtles, or pigs, for example. But the reality is that we have the range, we have the protection, and we want orderly, sustainable development. And I think, for the most part, we've done this well. Is there always room for improvement? Always, absolutely. But I'm proud of the country we've built. I'm proud of the industry that we've built, and I believe the world recognizes this.
It sounds like a very strategic tourism plan. But I can't help but think for countries, much bigger, tourism can be difficult to manage. But then I think you can bring it down, you can bring it down really local to a tourism management organization, very locally, or the regional or the local government, and you can do things and strategize from those levels as well. So I just think there's nothing to stop other countries and destinations to learn from some of the things that the Bahamas has in place. So anyway, I just wanted to ask you if you could unlock something globally, from a global perspective, to make tourism and travel greener. If there was a barrier in the way that you could just break down, or something that we as an international community, as the media and as business executives and politicians could do, what do you think we could do? I mean, it's a huge challenge, to prevent further harm and warming of our planet. What do you think are the key solutions that could actually work for us as a global community?
I think there has to continue to be the international engagement on climate resilience, the development of international protocols that all countries can subscribe to. We participate as a small country on the global stage with entities like UNWTO. We're active participants with COP every year. We're part of the Caribbean Tourism Organization. We're actively engaged with international organizations like the UN and others. And this is what I think needs to continue. We have banned plastics as a part of a mission and a movement around the world. That's single-use plastics. We at the moment are looking to see how we could advance the banning of some chemicals that might impact the ozone layers. For example, Freon, etc. We're working to ensure that we are globally compliant with best practice. I think the world's organizations can continue with research and development of best practice that all countries could comply with. And the larger industrial countries of the world must put less carbon in the atmosphere. So small countries like us are the victims of hurricanes and other climate events that's triggered by carbon produced and emitted by the large countries.
Yeah.
So I think overall engagement to advance international best practice, advocacy for climate resilience, participation in building back better programs and the development of codes to withstand climate challenges are things that we as policymakers can do and lead within our country, but as a part of an international community as well.
Thank you. Those are all my questions. I just wondered if you had anything else important that you think we should mention.
I would only say that we're extremely proud of the industry we've built in the Bahamas for tourism. We're proud of our country. We've been independent since 1973, and we, in such a short time, we have built a country that punches above its weight class, that's demanded its place in the world, that's deploying best practice in everything we do, and participating with our peers, small and large, to ensure that we continue to proudly carry the flag of the island of the Bahamas, and continue to create something so special that the world would want to continue to come and enjoy. We're open for business, and we are open for tourists to continue to come to our islands.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And will you be attending COP in Brazil this year?
I will not be, but Prime Minister Davis handles this environmental sustainability matters directly in his portfolio, and he has attended the last 4. I expect that he's going to be there.
Okay, cool. I'm not sure if I'll be going yet. It's a bit of a mission from the UK, but potentially. So yeah, maybe we can, if I do, maybe we can catch up then. Thank you so much for your time.
Work with Anita, and I'm sure if you're there, Prime Minister will be happy to have a chat with you.
Thank you so much. Deputy Prime Minister, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your insights.
Thank you. Take care.
That was Chester Cooper, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Aviation for the Bahamas. What stands out to me is just how central tourism is to the country's economy and how carefully it needs to be managed. At the same time, the Bahamas faces a huge emissions challenge. While it is not one of the biggest emitters in the world, almost all of its electricity still comes from oil and gas, and tourists are getting to the island mostly by cruise ships and by fly-in, heavily emitting industries. But what's encouraging is that many resorts are already installing their own renewable systems, like with solar panels and wind power. And the Deputy Prime Minister made it clear that the government supports this. But should it go further? Should renewable energy be a requirement for new developments in the Bahamas? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So drop me a line at dg@skift.com. Thank you for listening to GreenShift. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.